In a North Indian market, you have to have a channel partner. North Indians are more, as I put it, sentimental. They will ask anybody and everybody they can. What does a real estate salesperson do? He explains your product to the customer. He doesn't sell. The customer is there to buy it. That's why he's come all the way. Advertising in all forms is equally important. Now you have even things like WhatsApp and MyGate app. So you've gone as deep as possible into the customer's vision.
Hello, this is Saras Sethi and welcome to the HT Brand Leadership Series, a series of one-on-one interactions with top brand and marketing leaders who share their industry insights and strategies that have helped shape their stories. Today, we are joined by Mr. Amir Husain, who recently took on the role of President Sales and Marketing at Forest Developers in Gurgaon, bringing more than 3 decades of rich real estate experience across organizations like Oris Infrastructure, IDEO, Central Park and more. Under his leadership, Forest Developers is charting new growth paths with a sharper brand focus, stronger distribution networks and next-gen customer engagement models that blend traditional outreach with modern selling techniques. Welcome to the show, Amir.
Thanks, Saras.
Amir, as President Sales and Marketing, what are the major shifts that you identified at Forest when you joined in terms of consumer sentiments, behavior and strategy?
When I joined Forest, which was about a year ago, almost a year now, well, the first things was that it was a small company. We were doing only floors and we wanted to shift to high rise. So it was more about, rather than changing, it was more about laying down the strategies, analyzing the situation since it was the first project of high rise, setting up processes, systems, looking at my basic philosophy is it's the customer who comes first. As long as I believe, as long as you have that, the company will work.
So, with over 3 decades of experience in the real estate industry, how do you adapt your leadership styles, or how have you been doing that? From the perspective of a shift of traditional marketing to a digital first, influencer marketing, more consumer centric. How have you done that?
When I started, I'm a civil engineer by education. So first 6-7 years I did construction and then I got into sales by accident. And I remember the first thing when I was told to do sales I did was I put up a board outside saying houses available for sale. It was a 14-story building which had about 112 apartments. And that's how I started. From there, I actually learnt it on the job. So then we went to advertising newspapers, which kept on for a very, very long time. Digital is very recent. So I feel there was a time when there was a lot of resistance towards digital. Of course, today it's a lot more digital. The shift has been gradual, but people who have survived in this industry know they've only been able to survive because they have agreed to those changes. Like for example, today if I say I'm only going to advertise in a newspaper, well, I'm in trouble. So everybody had to shift. There's no other option.
What is the most effective tool in digital marketing that you've used so far?
It's not one, to be honest with you. I mean, I can very safely say there was a time when you would advertise a jacket in a newspaper and you were done. But today, every medium, some people say the websites work, some people say the influencers work, some people say it's the WhatsApp that work. I come from a time when there were newspapers, then it shifted to SMSs, then now all the platforms, websites that you have, now you have even things like WhatsApp and MyGate app. So you've gone as deep as possible into the customer's vision, is how I would like to put it.
Well, Forest Developers has been expanding very rapidly in Gurgaon, especially your latest project, which we're going to talk about. What brand narrative do you believe resonates with the discerning home buyers in this highly competitive market?
Couple of things. One, the promise to deliver the right product to the customer. When I say the right product, I mean the right size of apartment, the right layout of the apartment, the amenities and right amenities and facilities, and also you have to have a competitive pricing. So when you combine all of them, because for example the Aurum that we are doing, it's an ultra luxury project, so everything is there what a customer who wants to live in a high rise wants. For example, now I'm planning to make floors in Sector 88. There the shift is different. Now it's gone, the guy who buys a floor looks at the inside of the apartment. The guy who buys a high-rise building looks not only the inside but more on the outside of the amenities and facilities that are available. So for different products, the thought process has to be slightly different.
So in a crowded market, very crowded real estate market, how do you differentiate yourselves?
Like I said, you have to have the right product. So if you have the right product, you have to showcase it correctly. You have to have the right team. You have to have the right media strategy. Because real estate is a combination of all these things. If you think you have a great product but people don't know about it, it won't sell. If you don't have a good product, you might have a lot of visits, but it will still not sell. So it has to be a mix of everything. So I don't like pinpointing it. This is one thing that worked with us. It's never one.
Consumers of today are very, very demanding. The definition of luxury has been changing, and everybody calls their project as a luxury project. How do you manage such customer demands that come to you?
I think it's very, very simple. I honestly believe, and I tell everybody this, I can only do what I have in me. I mean, there might be world famous designers who might be 100 times better, they might make better houses. I first have to look at a customer. Once I identify what's my customer base, what's their definition of luxury. Like for example, if you were to go and stay in let's say the suite in Burj Al Arab, the hotel in Dubai, the 7-star hotel. I happened to see it once. The definition of luxury there is very different. But if I was to stay in, let's say, Taj Hotel in Delhi, the definition of luxury is different. Similar things in real estate. It's a different taste, it's a different market. So my consumer who's at a particular price band, let's say 5 to 8 crores, 7 crores, his definition of luxury is definitely different from a guy who's looking at buying a 100 crore house. So the definition changes. There's no one definition for it.
Real estate marketing has evolved. Is there any particular format or media channel that you're considering to cut through all the noise, cut through all the multiple options that you have?
I wish there was a magic wand. I haven't found it. I believe today what has happened is, as a person who's selling a product, I have to reach a customer who is my customer. Like for example, if you were to try and sell to a 100 crore house to a person like me, a salaried guy, I won't be able to buy it. So today you have to reach each and every customer. You can't say I'll not advertise in a newspaper because it's very expensive. No, you're wrong. You can't say I will not advertise on a website because it's not expensive. I will. You can't say I'll not do it on an app because, like for example, let's take my household. My kids read a newspaper. That's the habit my dad inculcated into me, I inculcated into them. So they would pick up a HT and they'll tell me that this is what has come. Oh, this builder has done this. So that's the first step of awareness. Then you advertise on a website. Then you have digital. Let's not forget the billboards or the pole kiosk or whatever form of outdoor advertising that comes in. Because if you take a daily routine of mine, the first thing I'll do is pick up a newspaper. Then once, then I'll open my phone, then I'll open my laptop. And then if I am looking for a house and I see 4S everywhere or the Aurum everywhere, and I am looking at that kind of a product, I'll at least visit it once. And once the customer visits us, that's what marketing does, it brings the customer to the site. Then it's the job of the salespeople to convince him or to explain it to him. Nobody convinces anybody. If you don't have 7 crores, you're not my customer. If you have 1 crore, I'm sorry, you can come and see, but then you're not my right customer. So what happens is, then they explain the product to the customer, and if it fits his budgets and his requirements, then he buys it. So advertising in all forms is equally important. Today we are like 20 years ago, a newspaper was good enough. You didn't need anything else. Today it's not the case.
So it's a combination of print, digital and outdoor is what
Correct,
you're saying.
correct.
Is there any fourth medium?
Word of mouth.
Word of mouth. I guess that's the most powerful of all mediums, is it?
And then there's a broker community.
But broker community, yes. We'll talk about that. That's a very interesting question. Over the past 5 years or so, we've seen the channel community become very, very important in selling real estate. They have become quite a force in this industry. Can you sort of throw some light on that?
Now, with experience, there come some advantages, some disadvantages.
Right.
My advantages, for the first 10 years, I worked out of Bombay, as it was called then it's called Mumbai today. So what happens is, every market is different. Like for example, in a North Indian market, you have to have a channel partner. I'll get into the reason later. In Mumbai, you don't need a channel partner. Let's say in Bangalore, it's even less. I've not worked in Bangalore, but I've heard about it. So what happens is, a channel partner, one, helps you identify properties, and North Indians are more, as I put it, sentimental. So they will ask anybody and everybody they can in the God's green earth. So like I always tell my team, you need one person who says, "Sir, likho na, meri zimmedari hai." The guy is not putting in the money, he's not doing anything, you putting in your own money, you using your own brains, but still you need that guy who tells you. So that community today is very, very important. Second, now there are two kind of buyers. One is a buyer who wants to stay in that house. The other is an investor who's realized the potential of investing in real estate. So he puts in his money. So if you are an end user, okay, you will go to a channel partner. But an investor knows that he's rolling his money. Today he's bought him this. He knows in 5 years, then like any financial analyst does, they calculate what is the ROI, so on and so forth. So a channel partner today is not a guy who comes and shows you the house and says, "Ye ghar hai, le lo." It doesn't work like that. Today he tells you, this is what your investment is going to be, this is what the returns we're expecting, this is where the market is going, like you do in a share market. So those investors, I believe, view the real estate market exactly like a share investor views a share market.
And how do you strengthen that trust? As I'm coming back to the overcrowded market, how do you strengthen that trust with your channel partners, your investors?
I have a slightly different take on this. I don't believe there's an overcrowded market. The kind of population our country has, we are still in the very nascent stages of development. You see developed cities, I've been to a few countries. You go there, the kind of infrastructure they have, the kind of buildings they have, and the amount of population that they have. It's nothing compared to the population that we have. So as a country, we are a very fast growing economy. We have the money. It's all about, like in any industry, how do you bring the money to my industry? So if real estate keeps growing and keeps giving people return, and as you are aware, as per the government data, we are about 140 crore people. How many houses do we have? Nothing compared to it. Even if you take 1% of it, let's say, 1.4 crores is the number. So we still don't have enough housing. This, yes, will keep shifting. There will be times when there will be demand for medium housing, there will be times when there will be lower housing, there will be times when there is demand for ultra luxury, or there will come times when you'll have to tone it down slightly. But the demand is always going to be there. So like I said, you have to get the right product at the right price at the right location. So that works, and I don't think it's a tough market to sell. Nobody sells, let me tell you this. It's the combination of all the things that sells your product. It's a myth that somebody sells.
Pre-COVID, we used to hear these conversations among a lot of people, especially the younger generation, that renting is better than buying. This perception, of course, all buying patterns, but I'm referring to real estate. This perception has changed post-COVID. People feel, or may I say, the need for buying a house has come back. So the traditional values that we all had growing up, that the first thing you should do is try to buy a house, has come back. Can you throw some light on this?
I'm no psychologist. My 2 bits on this is that safety is a human need.
Right.
So if I am in trouble, like for example, I belong to the older generation. I was staying in my house. There was never ever a problem. I knew everybody around. I knew everything. The whole infrastructure was there. But the younger generation who was slightly detached from, the neighbor doesn't know the neighbor. So, what happened was probably they felt isolated. That's my 2 bit on it.
Right.
I'm no expert on the human psychology, but my 2 bit on it is that they felt that that was the time, if you remember those 15 days when everybody is isolated in their own house. If it was your own house, it was different. And I feel after that people realize it's important to have a house, and probably that's why the shift happened. And then I also have another take on this. The human nature is such, when you see a life-changing event, which COVID was, you tend to have a reaction. Like for example, all the industries went down in COVID. Yes. Most of them in the tourism industry came back with a vengeance. Yes. People thought nobody will go into a theatre to see a movie ever again. They have come back with a vengeance. So real estate is not the only exception. A lot of changes has happened in the human thought process, or the evolution, or whatever you want to call it. But a lot of differences happened. So we were one of the beneficiaries of it, real estate.
With marketing being mainly focused on demand generation, how do you balance your budgets and your strategies with regard to demand generation and brand building, which are equally important?
See, what happens is, like I said, you have to identify what you need. These things are a problem when you do it as you go along. I believe if you have a correct plan from the day one itself, you can tweak it. But if you have the right budgets and the right plans, like I was very lucky in 4S, my management gave me a completely free hand. But we still kept within the budgets that I had kept. When I started, it really seemed as if I don't know what I was doing, is what people thought. But my team and I knew that we had written down everything, we had broken it down to the last level, and we knew when to pull back. Like for example, the last 4 months, we've done a lot of sales. Now the project is almost over. Very few units left. So now we know this is the time to scale down. You could have seen a lot of billboards, like for example, a lot of advertising. Your team will tell you that we were advertising. Now today we are not doing anything. We've just slowed down. The last few units left. So anybody who wants to buy a house, knows it's a good property, will come and buy it himself. So now, if the budgets are correct and you do your homework correct, you'll not have a problem.
And coming back to your team, because obviously when you sell a huge project like you have, you need to recruit a team. How do you train them? How do you train them to actually resonate with your brand, the brand message that you want to convey, along with the conversions that you're expecting? Because you have so much of experience.
I am one of those companies which has a trainer on board.
Right.
Today, real estate, very few do. But we are one of them. I learned it in my previous company. We had kept a trainer. When I came into this organization, the one previous to the previous one I was working with, people don't realize, they think trainer is an expense. No. What does a real estate salesperson do? He explains your product to the customer. He doesn't do anything else. He doesn't sell. The customer is there to buy it. That's why he's come all the way. So you explain your product in detail to the customer. You tell him, you answer all his questions of what he wants. How does a person do that? If you have a trainer on board, you train them on everything. You try and preempt the answers. They should know your product. I believe if a customer is talking to you and he believes you know your product, he'll believe you. If you give him wishy-washy answers, the customer is the smartest soul, because he's the guy who's investing that kind of money. So it's very important that you train the team, you hire the right people, you create the right environment. I don't believe in a philosophy wherein you have a stick in hand and you're driving people. No, I want people to come in the morning, and by the time, let's say we start at 10, by 9:45 when they're reaching office, should start taking that, okay, it's going to be fun today. What am I going to do today? How am I going to enjoy it? And then once the work is done, let's say the office hours are over, I still don't believe in this philosophy that, let's say my office is till 6:30. No, I'll find work for them at 7. No. If the work is done, you're selling well, let them have fun. What's the problem? And this younger generation, or even any generation, wants to be happy at the end of the day. In sales, there's pressure all the time.
Let me come back to the customer and the consumer. It is said that the mid-income urban consumer is a very powerful segment that has emerged. Now there is a mid-income powerful segment. There is a high income, that segment is also equally very powerful. How does your product mix emerge when you create a structure or when you create a project, so that you can cater to maybe everybody needs, maybe one project or maybe two projects? Do you have some differentiation when you create projects? Do you do that for a particular segment? Do you keep that in mind? How does that happen in real estate?
First and foremost, like the old joke goes, in real estate, there are only 3 things that matter: location, location and location. Right. But of course, that's a joke. Once you identify the location, real estate begins with buying of land, right, and the approvals. So once you have identified where does your product lie, then the next step is identifying what customer demographic are you looking at. Right. So once you do that, that is when you start designing the product. Right. So, and then you look at a price point. So and that is when, let's say your product point is, let's say 3 crores. Then you look at different amenities and facilities. Let's say your product point is 20 crores. Of course, I'm giving you a vast this. Then your customer, your design is very different. So, like for example, this product was about 5 to 8 crores range, the one we are doing currently. So that you can safely count as one segment. We could have done from, let's say, 4 crores to 14 crores. No, we did not want to do that. We want to target one audience, one set of people, because once you do that, then, like they say, birds of a feather flock together. So basically you're looking at the urban, let's say high income middle class. So those were the ones we targeted, and we did things accordingly. Let's say tomorrow I want to do something called the ultra HNI, right, then I will go a completely different path. So you have to decide first where your location is, what kind of people will come here. Let's say if I was going to do housing in a place which had very narrow roads or was out of town, I would not make this building there. Because it's the golf course extension road, I know what kind of people want to buy here, who have aspirations. Because typically what happens in India is, a guy is living in a house and he owns that house. Let's say he knows it's worth 3 crores. He must have bought it for, let's say, 80 lakhs or 70 lakhs or 50 lakhs, whatever, or 1 crore. He knows it's 3 crores. So let's say he's buying a 6 crore house. So he knows his liability is 3 crores. So then he generates some funds, he gives a booking amount, then the payment plan has to be correct. Like for example, we did a 30, 10, 30, 30. So 30% to begin with, right, 10% on the 20th floor, at least you're seeing the building. not too much pressure on you, but it eases my cash flows, 30% when the superstructure completes, and the balance when I offer you possession. So what happens is, if you're living in a house, typically what happens is you have 50-70% funds and 30% you have to arrange. So we kept things like, it's easy for the customer to buy.
With the market cycles shifting quickly, how do you nurture a culture of continuous learning and innovation within your organization?
Again, the experience part comes in. I have seen 3 recessions. So, once you have been there, done that, it is not very difficult. It becomes, nobody can predict it, but you learn how to see signs. So, like a doctor does, I still believe medicine is still evolving. So, experienced doctor, what he does is he tells you that, this is what is happening, so you need to sort of correct your lifestyle or do this. So, in real estate, what I do with my team is I try and predict for them, because they're very adept at their job. So, all I have to do is tell them that please do this today, because let's say 3 months down the line, 6 months down the line, this is what is going to happen. So, you plan ahead. If you, like I said, if you plan properly, you will not, there will be problems of course, but you will sort of create a shock absorber for it. So, it's easy to keep the team motivated. Like for example, right now my team is what I call enjoying life. Very few units left, they come to office happy. I believe if I give them leaves now, somebody has travel plans, somebody has, because other emergencies will always come. But if as a team I can guide them and tell them that, this is how we should plan, so they're all happy. So I believe if you do the basics right, most of the times things will be easier for you.
Amir, when is the right time to buy a house?
Today.
Prices in Gurgaon in the past 3 to 4 years have doubled. In fact, in some parts they have tripled and maybe gone up even more than 3 times. Where do you see the future?
Like I said, India is a growing country. I have not visited China. I intend visiting very soon. But whatever pictures I've seen or whatever television I've seen or different mediums, I believe China is way ahead of us. And I see no reason why we will not reach there. So I believe we are still, what I would like, some people might take objection to it, but I still believe we are in infancy as a nation. We are only, 80 years old?
Right.
Since independence. So we have a long way to go and grow. Like I always give this example. I thought, I'm talking about myself, I happen to have about 10 years of experience when I found Aralias was selling bare shell apartments. Right. I used to work at ICICI Bank then, and I can name him, he's a very senior person. Mr. K.V. Kamath had bought an apartment in Aralias, and I was told that go and have a look. So when I went there, I thought he's nuts. कौन खरीदता है बेयर शेल का घर, इसमें इतने पैसे तो लग जाएंगे. And I was a fool. I didn't know what, he was a learned man, experienced man who was running a big company. He had the vision. Right. The only thing I knew was it was a golf property, it will catch up in India. Right. So he said, this is where you're right. But then today, if I was smart enough, though I didn't have that money back then to buy Aralias, today I don't have money either. That's a separate issue. Yes. But then what happens is, if you look at from that perspective, a 5,000 square feet apartment worth a crore. Today the same place, let's say, of course the buildings have become better, things have changed, you're selling at 190 crores. So what are you talking about, 2-fold, 3-fold? I am talking about 1 to 190. So same location, everything is the same. But trust me, we are still not where we should be. There will be dips, there is no doubt about it. But like I always say, invest only if you have the money to sustain it, like this in the share market. Right. So I don't believe that, that's why I said the right time to buy is today. Because today if you want to buy it for a salaried guy like me, I have to start thinking. I don't have, let's say, 1 crore rupees lying in my bank account that I go and buy it. All of us spend the money that we earn, most of it, and then we save some and buy a house. That's how the system works. So today if you start thinking about it, trust me, don't think that tomorrow when there'll be a dip I'll buy. Then there'll be other problems. Your shares might have also dipped what you invested in.
Right.
So it's now the market. There will be dips, but it will go up for sure.
Amir, in the next 3 to 5 years, where do you see 4S marching into?
When I met my team for the first time, people who were there, and the management as well, I told them I have a feeling that 4S is like a rocket that is about to take off. And touch wood, in the last 1 year, we have achieved what we had set out. We see 4S in the next 5 years as a developer who is delivering on its promises. When I say delivering, I mean not only on time, but also the product that we have promised. Like for example, sample apartment that we have made, if it's come to life, people have shifted into this building. And I believe one of the best examples of that is Central Park. Central Park today is so good, thanks to Mr. Bakshi's vision. Had he thought that I've sold most of the houses at 4,000, 5,000, today it might be 10, 12,000, but मैं तो 4-5 में बेच चुका हूँ. Why should I give them those amenities and facilities? I worked with Central Park for 3 years. One of the reasons why we were able to launch CP3 so successfully was because CP2 was very good. Right. So I see 4S following a similar path, delivering quality. If we become big and are able to deliver quantity as well, that's separate. But quality is going to be our main focus, and delivery on time. That's been one of the biggest problems in real estate. That's why we hired Ahluwalia contractors.
So my next question was related to this. If there was one brand differentiator that you would see in 2025 for 4S, what would it be? Just one.
Okay, that's a tough one. One is tough because we are a very young company.
Right.
So one of the biggest differentiator for us would be, again, like I said, the will to deliver on time and the product that the customer wants, the quality. So it will be quality and time. So one word is difficult.
So quality and time, these we can make it two.
Yeah.
Right. Festive season is around the corner. This is a season of high energy. People actually accumulate their resources to buy various things during this period, whether it's a car or whether it's a home. People prefer to book, buy and things during this period. It's a high energy period, high octane for all product and services companies. What are your plans during this festive season?
Like I told you, I'm somebody who believes in planning. Right. We are coming up with a phase 2 of this same product. Right. We are planning to work on that. If it happens on time, because as you know, in our country, approvals take time.
Right, correct.
We would of course like to have a big bang around Diwali. Looks tough, it will go to Christmas or New Year's. But we are coming up with a project in Sector 88. We again, like for example, a year ago, or let's say 10 months ago, if you would have gone anywhere in Gurgaon or Delhi, you would have seen 4S. We intend coming back with this. Today we have sort of slowed it down. We again intend going there in all sorts of media and advertise our next product, which is going to be coming up in Sector 88.
Amir, if you were not in real estate, what would you have been doing?
I was a civil engineer, so I must have been making buildings, but that's not something that I really enjoyed. I probably would have been golfing.
Golfing? Right. Thank you very much, Amir. It was a pleasure having you here today.
Same here. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Amir, for sharing your thought leadership on transforming real estate marketing from fortifying frontline distribution to embedding digital-first customer engagement strategies. Your strategy exemplifies how modern real estate brands can fuse legacy wisdom with marketing innovation. That concludes this edition of the HT Brand Leadership Series. Stay tuned as we bring more insights from India's visionary brand.